and we are now going to France, to the Loire Valley, and a very interesting wine because nobody knows this region. And so I always love presenting those appellations that are very confidential, like Cheverny. We have Thierry Delahaye here with us today. Thierry, I don't think, yeah, hi, great to meet you. Now, Cheverny, if you are into history, is one of the most historical winemaking zones in France. It was much more important than Bordeaux in the Renaissance because it's very near Paris. It's actually between Orléans and Tours. And the kings of France were drinking this wine for 500 years before any drinkable wine was made in Bordeaux. And the particularity of this area is that they can make very good white, rosé, and red. I think you could make very good sparkling wine, but I think nobody has started yet. But my feeling is that you could make good crémant. Now, the red wines are made from Pinot Noir, and try them later. But now we are tasting a white wine, and it is the only white wine in France made from a blend of Sauvignon Blanc and Chardonnay. Normally, as you know, you're not supposed to blend these two grape varieties, but some people do. They do in Australia, they do in Italy. We've had a Chardonnay Sauvignon today. And this wine is 85% Sauvignon and 15% Chardonnay, no oak. And the reason for the blend is that geographically we are essentially between Chablis and the Loire appellations that make Sancerre and Pouilly-Fumé. And the terroir is a little bit similar to some of the Upper Loire because there are some sandy soils as well as clay. So very unusual combination. I think you will get a lot more Sauvignon Blanc from this wine because it's 85% of the blend, but 15% is Chardonnay, and they normally say it's Chardonnay for the texture. I think it is also adding a sort of slightly more orchard fruit character, apple and pear, to the more melon and, of course, green character of the Sauvignon Blanc. There is another reason to go and visit this appellation, two more reasons to visit this appellation. One, that you have the best castles in France. Château de Blois is very near, which is one of the most magnificent examples of Renaissance architecture. The other reason is that they have a unique grape variety, Romorantin. Only, I think, 30 hectares left, but again, getting talked about quite a lot now at the moment. And you can taste it's bottled as Cours Cheverny. It's a different appellation to Cheverny. But for me, the interest of this wine is that we are really tasting this very deeply ingrained, this very old traditional wine culture of France. Really, French wine is not so much about the Rhone Valley or Bordeaux. I mean, the really old French wine culture. Has a lot to do with the Loire, because the Loire was always belonging to the kings of France, unlike Bordeaux, which was English for a long time, unlike Burgundy, which was trying to kill France for hundreds of years before they failed. So Loire is really the deep France, and the culture there is fantastic because all those estates, they go back often generations and generations. You can see buildings that are 300 years old, cellars that are 500 years old, and many interesting grape varieties. So please have a look at the Cheverny. And Pavel has championed this wine in his restaurant.
Yes, I'm very like the Cheverny is very refreshing wine, so it's easygoing, fruity. So we serve very often for the aperitif or some spring vegetables. Like at the moment, you have the season for the asparagus, so it's perfectly matched with the asparagus, which I very like this combination. And as I say, it's really citrusy in flavor, nice, refreshing acidity. So it's easygoing and everyday drinking wine. So,
great minds think alike, and it's interesting what you say it's about asparagus, because many people, when they pair wine with asparagus, they put very acidic white wines. They put pure Sauvignon Blanc or things like this, which I like. But if you go to Germany, which is the biggest asparagus culture, they are not so keen on having high acidity with asparagus, and they serve, for example, Sylvaner, which is a softer acidity, slightly more extract with the asparagus. This is the classic match when you go to Germany. In Austria, which is another big asparagus hub, it's often Welsh Riesling, and Welsh Riesling can have high acidity, but sometimes it's a more textured, rich wine at mid-palate, not aromatic. And so it's interesting that you would choose this wine, which has the Chardonnay element to round off the Sauvignon with the asparagus.